Listen up, Rangers. Welcome to the Geek Chest. My name's Steve, and today in the Stevie's Custom Monstrosity, we actually have a figure here that I did like no recording of at all. Usually some of these are a part of random live streams, just haven't really had a chance to really do any live streaming lately. So this guy was just a figure I just periodically worked on upstairs. I can run through it real quick on how we got here. But the color scheme for this is, as you may know, this is a atomic version. And this is based off of what people have called the Pachinko Godzilla, where there was a short of Godzilla fighting Gigan, Anguirus, and somebody told me, and Drew told me, and I totally slipped my mind what the other kaiju was. Now, I probably should have looked it up before I started talking about it. Anyways, he's a Pachinko Godzilla. And in the short, when he does his atomic breath, it's... Was it Ghidorah? Anyways, I digress. Don't get old. You remember it gets so much worse. Actually, never was that great to begin with. All right, anyways. So, when he shoots his atomic blast, it's very white with a hint of blue. Instead of the more, like, almost gold beam that he has in the actual film. So, what I had to do is, because he's a really dark color, and all, like, this figure is, like, all its color is dark, and the spines were done in that kind of, like, reddish maroon color. I went over top of each of the spines with some primer. So I have, it's airbrush primer, but I just used my brush. I just went over each of the parts where I want to tint it to the white here. Going along the entirety of the back and through the tip of the tail. Did that on both sides. Make sure to get on each of the crevices there. And also did a little bit on the mouth. And the mouth, how I went about it was, I was a little sloppy about it. That's kind of on purpose. So that I did the whites on the tongue, undersection of the tongue, inside the mouth, and then the undersection. And then whatever excess was, I just wiped it off. So you get a little bit of the coloring on the teeth, but nothing too crazy. And then his hand popped off. So, where? Right there. It's one thing about the Hiya I've noticed is the hands, while on ball joints are solid, but it doesn't take much to get these things off. Anyways, I digress. And then I went over them with just a little bit of a light blue color and started dry brushing, which dry brushing is you just get a little bit of the paint on the brush. You brush the majority off on your stencil or whatever you're using. Yeah, I tend to use paper towel. And then you start going over each of the spines just lightly, just to accentuate the high points. Which I was originally thinking of just going along the edges, but it didn't look quite that good. Like, it was a bit too much of like a hard contrast. So I just went over the entirety of the spine, doing the light dry brushing and just hitting everything. And then I also went along the back here just a little bit. Didn't want to accentuate too much forward. Just kind of where I thought the light from the spines would be illuminating onto the back. And I was thinking of maybe doing it with the white because the predominant color is white. But I think the blue turned out really good. Because the way it looked in the short, it was the white undertones, you got the blue outline, and then the blue's kind of what's emanating from the spine. So that's my thought on why it would have the blue on the back of the scaling. And then I only hit the high points of the spine because of the light radiating off. It maybe it'd be hitting this, but honestly, I think it looks a little too sloppy when it has a crap ton of blue all over the place, like you get with some like the old NECAs and such, where it's like all the way down to like here and just a bit overkill. So I went around that, hit the top of the head here just to kind of hit the little spiky bit on the end here, and then just did the same thing to the other side. Went down the tail here, right to about there. Kept the coloring for it the same as what it was on the actual figure. And then I also made sure because I didn't tear the figure apart when I was doing this. So when I was doing the dry brushing, I made sure to accentuate the tail a bit so it would hit all the sections. So if posing it around, it would still have the blues in most of the right spots. And then the same thing I did with the whites for the mouth, just went over that with a little bit of blue, wiped off the excess. And I think it gives them a really nice illuminated look. Actually, grabbing a beam real quick. I'm trying to remember if I got one hanging out under my table in my Monster Arts box or if I got to go dig one up. It's not quite right, but you get the picture. So it looks like his mouth's illuminating, but the way I imagine the light would be coming out, you wouldn't be seeing it like all on his cheeks or whatnot. If anything, you get a little bit of coloring on the arms and maybe the chest here for where the light's going to be like extending. But I tend to keep it a bit toned down with these ones. Unless you were seriously planning on displaying them. Because my thought is you can keep the mouth closed and it looks like he's kind of charging the attack. So if you don't have the beam, the light would kind of be contained inside of the mouth there. And overall, really happy with it. Super simple paint job. Not the most complicated. It's a bit time consuming only because I essentially had to do this in 3 different runs for the paints. But pretty simple to do. Something I feel most anybody with a decent amount of competence with the brush can do. The only thing I would say is for the whites, I have had it a bit watered down. So it would go on pretty lightly. And then I went over it twice. Just so then you don't get like giant paint splooges on the undersection. And it doesn't make it look too thick and bootleggy when you do it that way. You always want to try to do light layers of paint pretty much on anything you're doing with these guys. But anyways, you can almost defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button. Subscribe, become a ranger today. We also got Instagram, Patreon, TikTok, Facebook. Guys like you, but the channel donate. Greatly would appreciate it. Noticing I got to take a little bit of isopropyl alcohol on a Q-tip and get that off real quick before I decide to clear coat him. I haven't clear coated him yet as the recording of this. He's still going to be matte, so it's going to be the shading for the figure. But I do got to splash him with a little bit of seal. But yeah, pretty pleased with this overall. It's such a cool look. It was such a unique thing to see in the short too, because it's very like, I can't quite say Heisei. Heisei, I would use way more blue. Like, it would have been blue with white highlights instead of white with blue highlights. This kind of makes it almost feel very, like almost like not even Showa, like the black and white. In that regards. Like, the older you get, the more light the blue looked. And I think this kind of replicates that very nicely. But we also have actually the person that got this figure is one of our Discord members, which is a patch attached to our Patreon. So for $3, get you access to the Discord. We've been doing watch alongs on Sundays. So as of this recording, we're actually going to be doing one tomorrow. So if you guys are ever interested, you want to talk with some like-minded people, maybe share your collection, your commission, your custom works. I think I might eventually make a channel for the custom stuff, but we don't have enough people at the moment, so it's not really worth the time and effort, you know. I have a hard enough that doesn't like sending me notifications anyways. But if you guys will like to check that out. We also have an Etsy shop for custom parts. If you ever want to get a hold of your commissions, Instagram is probably the best way to get a hold of me, which I usually have a link in the description for these videos. Etsy gets finicky with me wanting to do commissions, so I gotta start directing people to that. We also got a dash review. If you guys want to get our logo and some apparel, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Oh, actually, if you guys ever want to protect one of these, so you get a custom figure. Hopefully I can yank this off the stand. Check out a link in the description for Boxery. They're modular display cases. You can hook up lights in them. You can make your own little displays. Super sweet. You can save 50% off your order with code TheGeekChest at checkout. They come in different colors, different sizes, and a really awesome way to protect your collection. Anyways, see you guys next one. Bye-bye.